welcome to Watt Single Track, a channel that's dedicated towards the single track and trail riding enthusiast. I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsors Bradley and Lucas at EVs up in Canada. They can take care of all of your EuC needs. On today's episode, I'm going to go over things that I think are important, mainly for speed trail riding. There are certain trails that aren't purely technical that I ride, ones like this right here, where speed is everything and it can make or break the run, and here's why. This is a key example of carrying a little bit too much speed into a turn and the tire ends up skipping out, but thankfully, and this brings me to a very crucial, important point, is to make sure you have a proper knobby tire. If it's going bald and flat in the middle with the side knobs, that's no good. You need to have a proper knobby tire in order to get proper grip for speeds like this on trails like this. This is a pretty high-speed little section that we were out exploring, but it had lots of what I like to call landmines. So there's lots of tree roots and rocks and obstacles like making sure you make it through the snow trough and you don't ride into the snow, because you hit it snowbank on an EuC at full speed, the EuC will stop and you will continue on. But when you're riding trails like this, it's super important visually to your eyes have to scan and focus on every little rock and boulder and obstacle, and you have to start reacting before the obstacle comes up while you're visually already preparing for the next one. That's a really hard skill to explain, and it's something that you'll always be refining as a trail rider, but you do learn to get better and better at seeing something, memorizing what your body needs to do. That way, while you're visually looking ahead at the next obstacle, you don't have to focus on what is directly in front of you. And that just proves critical in runs like this, where there's quite a few things that come up and you're pushing in this run. I'm going about 28 to 32 at the fastest, and there's times you don't have the time to react. It has to be muscle memory based off your body and your riding experience. This is an important skill, I think, for speed riding. This was a hidden tree in the trail. Yeah, I was definitely not expecting that thing to boot me that far. And then boom, there's a boulder that comes up right away. That rock scared the heck out of me. But I rode it out and I made it out. And so now this brings us to one of my favorite runs of the day. This was Beaver Trail, obviously out here in Lake Tahoe. And we just had a blast on this trail. This was the first run. I wasn't quite prepared, running blind and run a little too hot into that turn. So it kind of sent me a little sideways. But the berms on this trail were superb. You could get really good lean angles on your turns and really throw your body weight into the turn. Now, that's important for speed trail riding like this, because if you don't throw your body weight into the berms, you can't actually ride the berms at the full speed they're made to be ridden at. So you need that body weight to carry you through. And right there, that's one of the little technical section that comes up, kind of throws you off if you're going too fast like I was, but you adapt and you overcome and you continue on the trail. And right here, we're gonna get right into the big section of berms and why it's important. You can't continue on through these turns at these kind of speeds if you're riding the lower center, like the apex of the turn. It's actually a lot faster to throw your weight into the turn and ride the outer edge of it. It does scare you a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, because you're leaning so sideways that you almost feel like you're gonna fall. but the tire does grip and gravity forces you into the turn, and it all seems to work out, and it's an amazing feeling. That being said, when you are running high angle berms like this, you need to make sure that your cutout angle is set to the max. If it is not, you will cut out, and it is not fun getting dropped on a berm like this. So make sure you have high cutout angle for high-speed trail runs on berms. And this brings us to the next stop. This was me trying to show off a little bit. I had a Sur Ron that I chased up the trail, and he was amazed that I was still behind him and caught up and kept up with him. So he wanted to see how fast I could run my EuC down this segment of Beaver Trail. So I was pushing this as hard as I could. This particular run, I hit 31 or 32 miles an hour. It was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie, I was riding by the seat of my pants, flying through. Right there, I went into that turn way too hot, had no choice but to hit that tree stump. But it was just so much fun showing off what the EuC can do, and we definitely have an EuC convert. This guy hit me up after the ride, and he's actually looking into buying his EuC. This is a section about staying loose while also trying to run a high-speed uphill line. So this is a really wide fire road, but super technical in terms of a lot of rocks to really kick you around. And it's really important to stay loose and be able to zigzag left and right depending on what's best for the trail. And then here we rode all the way to the top of the mountain till we got snowed out, turned around, and this run was probably one of the most fun downhill runs there was on this trail. Was really fast, but at the same time you had to slow down really quick in order to make the turns. And right there I almost hit a tree. I wasn't looking far enough ahead, and it came up way too fast. But when you're riding downhill, the hill adds a lot of speed to your run, even if you're not trying to speed up. So that's something you definitely have to take into account, because when you come up upon an obstacle, you may think you're pushing so hard, but the extra momentum from the downhill line will push you further than you intend, and that can almost push you into a tree, like has happened to me a few times right here. But to get back at the high speed aspect of it, you just got to really push into the berms. You got to have faith that your tire is going to grab and that you got this, and you got to try and not think about it and just ride about it. Because if you think about it, it doesn't come naturally. If you just try and ride and let your body do what it's going to do, it all works out, and you'll tend to find the line that gets you through, and you'll be amazed at how fast you can start to run trails like this. This was my first time out in this area in Lake Tahoe. I only had 3 sessions of riding out here, but as you learn to ride trails, you'll get better and better and more confident with your speed, and that carries through when you come and you find a really fun trail like this, where you actually have the ability to go 25 to 30 miles an hour consistently through most of the trail. And a lot of it's a confidence thing. The EuC is so capable of running 25 to 30 miles an hour through this. It just comes down to, is the rider mentally willing to push themselves that far? Because you're going to have slip-ups just like that, but that's part of the ride. When you survive that slip-up and you don't crash and you don't cut out, that makes you that much better of a rider, and those are important in going towards boosting your confidence in trail riding and hitting things faster and faster. And that right there that I just went through a little ways back was a super tight gap. I know exactly how wide my pedals are, and I still hit those metal toe sliders on my boots, but I wanted to try and carry speed through it, and thankfully I made it through. There is a lot of risk though coming to running high speed stuff like this, especially in terms of pedal clipping, because when you clip a pedal at 20, 25, 30 miles an hour, it's not fun. It's not going to be a good day. You're going to be sore, and I sure hope you got your gear on, because you're going to need it. Right there, I talking about pedal clipping. I didn't pedal clip, but was going way too fast. I ran off the trail again. Seems to be a common theme when I'm out exploring trails. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for your time. And thank you to my sponsors, EVs, for keeping me rolling on trails like this.